All right. Well, here we go. So, what I'm going to talk about tonight, and we'll see if anyone joins me, is whether or not the United States' uh, impending decision to send Abrams tanks to the Ukraine is essentially an act of war. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog barking. He's so stupid. I don't know what he's doing or why. Anyway, so forgive me if the dog interrupts. So here's the deal. I have up here on the screen something about the RMS Lusitania. And I don't know if I would hope that most people know about the Lusitania. And I'm just going to scroll down here. And as you can see there, so this was a ship that was destroyed by the Germans. That belonged to the British. And the British were taking armaments around, on a passenger ship. And the Lusitania was sunk by the German Navy. And eventually it came out that the German Navy was correct. It really was the case that um, the British were trying to sneak armaments in underneath the guise of the civilians. So, be that as it may, the point is that arming your enemies is construed by other nations as um, participating is aid and comfort to the enemy. It may as well be an act of war. Um, and that's just the way it is. You don't have to like it, and maybe it isn't even reasonable or rational. The British tried to argue with the Germans about it, and it ended up bringing the United States into war as well. So I don't know where people are of the people who watch my videos, where you stand on the Ukraine. I don't know. It's not really relevant what I think about the Ukraine. I feel like maybe I should have to justify myself, but I think the real question is not where you stand regarding Ukraine. It's whether or not you want to go to war against Russia in support of the Ukraine. And it's hard to understand or see why Putin wouldn't construe uh, the presence of United States provided Abrams tanks in Ukraine, killing his soldiers as an act of war by the United States. Why wouldn't he construe it in that way? Why would he not behave accordingly on that understanding? Now, you could say, and I think that it's reasonable to say that we've been arming them already. NATO's been arming the Ukrainians already. So and that an act of war hasn't been um, well, I should say a declaration of war hasn't been issued by Putin. But actually, if you listen to what's been coming out of the Russian government, um, sometimes out of Putin, sometimes out of his underlings, they have been very clear that NATO supplying of weapons and armaments to the Ukraine basically makes us belligerents. In other words, at least according to the Russians, we are already in a state of war um, with Russia. That's the way that they perceive it. It doesn't matter if you agree with their assessment, right? I think that's really kind of a critical thing here. I mean, you might not think that it constitutes an act of war. What matters is what they think, and that's the direction that they've been going with it. They don't like it. Those weapons are killing uh, their men. Our javelins, our HIMARS are killing their soldiers. the Ukrainians would not have been able to inflict those casualties without our help. In fact, Ukraine would not be where it's at right now without our help. That's the bottom line. I mean, I know that some people want to talk about the Ukrainians as these valiant soldiers, and okay, that's fine. I'm not going to dispute their heroism in it, but let's just be honest. They would not be able to have gotten this far if they didn't have the support that we've given them. And you know who else knows that? Putin knows that. So how far do you want to go? I mean that's to me the bottom line question here. How far do you want to go? Do you want to support Ukraine all the way up to and including a boots on the ground NATO attack? Um, I'm not exactly sure how to boots on the ground shooting bullets downrange at live Russian soldiers and having them shoot back. Is that what you want? Is that what we want? I mean, we need to think about this. We need to think about the trajectory of this. You know, I don't know what to tell you, but um, the way things are going, even though you might not want, or let me back up. Um, Biden has said numerous times that American troops are not going to be on the ground. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like it's probably pretty obvious that American troops are already on the ground. Um, and I don't just mean in the back line providing supply and logistics. They might be just doing forward observation. Uh, we've got troops that are doing stuff, and but obviously that's different than having some divisions land in there. I know we've got a bunch of troops in Poland, having them come rushing over. That's a different kind of thing. Biden is basically, he said, that is not going to happen, period. I don't think he's a bright enough guy to think this through. And the guys who might be in charge of this at the Pentagon, they might be smart enough to think it through, but sometimes things happen that are completely out of your control. Now, you can have a mistake happen. You can miscalculate. And even though you thought it through, circumstances became what they were, whether you liked it or not. And suddenly, hey Bob, you're at war. So I think that's kind of what the one of the lessons of the Lusitania is. The British said one thing and the Germans said another, and it doesn't matter who was right. The Germans sank that ship, and one thing led to another, and you had an escalation of the war. So I don't see that anyone hopped onto my live stream here. Maybe I need to try doing it earlier. So I'm not going to get any live feedback to bounce off of with anyone, and that's fine. Um, at least I didn't have to script out what I was going to say and all. I was just able to film it and let it go. So if anyone wants to discuss this in more detail and actually have a discussion where you shoot questions and I answer them, then leave that in the comments, and we'll try that again. All right. Well, we're not going to belabor this. I've made my points, I think, and we're just gonna let it ride with that. This is the Philosopher King 2.0. Thanks for watching.